Hey everybody, Wade Bloodgood here. Here comes my dog. He's gonna do the big jump. God. Ah, butt in my face. Do you ever notice that let's just say you have some attributes about yourself that you know about, maybe some bad attributes, some bad qualities, maybe some behavior that you do, right? And you just have learned to accept it. You're just like, well, this is part of what it is, and this is part of who I am, and you just accept it, and it's okay. Like you kind of become comfortable with the uncomfortable of that part of yourself, right? It doesn't mean that you can't change those parts of yourself. It just you've decided that you don't want to do what it takes to change those parts, so you decide that you can live with it. But what I've noticed is if like somebody else points out those attributes to me about the ones that just really don't serve me much a positive purpose. If anything, they're serving me to try to get my attention so I can make an adjustment, and somebody else notices this behavior or recognizes maybe an attribute or a personality trait or something that I'm putting out there that isn't necessarily helpful for anyone or working for anybody, including myself, but I've accepted it. But when they point it out, oh boy, how dare you? How dare you point out something that you see about me? Doesn't mean that they're attacking me. Doesn't even mean that they're judging me. This depends on really, I guess, the way somebody approaches it. And even then, no matter how somebody approaches it, I am the one that has the ability to put the meaning and the way that I want to feel about the way somebody conveys something to me, whether it's about me or it's about an idea in the world or whatever. I'm just recognizing that it's okay for me to accept my own personal faults or traits that I could work on and better. But if I'm not, it's okay with me. But boy, don't point it out to me, because if you do, it's like, well, fuck you. But I think that that's the wrong way to look at things. I really should be saying thank you. Like, thank you for recognizing these attributes. Like, yeah, they haven't really been working for me, or yeah, that's something about myself that I don't like. So I really don't want to talk about it. Or I normally try to, I just don't look at that part of myself. I avoid that part of myself. And by you saying something about me, um, that activates that bad feeling within myself that I've had on myself. It has nothing to do with you saying anything to me or anything to do with you, really. And the fact that somebody might point something out to me in observation or perception of things that I may be doing or not doing can be helpful to me, because there's a lot of things about myself that I necessarily can't always see either. So it's helpful when somebody comes from the outside. It might even be it doesn't have to be anything negative. It could be also a positive quality. They're like, hey, when you do that, it really made me feel good. And I realize, heck, if I do that to more people, I can make more people feel good. If I'm doing other things that maybe make people feel bad and somebody points that out, I could recognize that is going on and make an adjustment too. That way I don't have to do that, and have a conversation with somebody that's willing to have the courage to say to you, hey, I see this about you. Or, maybe I see this about you because I've seen this about myself, or I recognize what you're doing because I've resembled those things that you're doing because I once was doing those things. And it's not me here judging you. It's just me pointing out that you're doing those things. Do you recognize that you're doing those things? And be in a healthy conversation with people to communicate, like, hey, what is that? How did that make you feel? Or, well, how do I see that? How do you see that? And like different conversation. It's not really who's right or who's wrong. For me, it's more like somebody looking at a tree or a flower or something, and they just notice these little details to the tree or the flower. And each person that looks at it might focus on different details of the flower based off their point of perception, their point of perspective, the way they feel about themselves, the way they think about things, their beliefs, basically. And for me personally, I'm interested in like knowing the view of something that I'm experiencing, or knowing the view of something that I've looked at and somebody else has a completely different take on it. That's been very liberating to my life, because people have offered me information that I would normally not get by being in conversations with people about things that they may not like about me, or not even that, things that they might recognize about me that I'm doing. And by them sharing with me their perspective allows me to evolve myself in my mind and broaden my mind and my perspective, instead of saying, oh, like, screw them for them seeing something about me that even hey, I know already about that. I already know that I can be a jerk. I already know I can be a dick, right? Well, I don't have to be those things. And yes, anybody can be those things. But if I'm being those things and somebody else isn't feeling good about when they're observing me, maybe it's because at some point they were being a dick and they didn't like the way that made them feel when they behaved that way, or they didn't like the way that them behaving that way made other people feel, right? But it's just something that we can communicate about. It's not about judgment or somebody's right or wrong. Whether you see something in me that you might see as a bad attribute, or something you see in me that doesn't resonate with you and doesn't make you feel good, doesn't mean that it's wrong necessarily. Doesn't mean I need to stop doing any of those things if it's not having a negative impact on my life. If it is having a negative impact in my life, then I think I should be more than open to conversate and find new ways to evolving myself and to understanding myself and understanding the people that gotta also be in my world and co-create and, live in this life together. If I'm going to have friends, we're going to have different points of views and different ways of being and different personalities and different things. So it's not really a place of judgment or, what you think about me. It's important to me what you think about me, but most importantly, what's most important is what I think about me. So you thinking good things about me, man, I need to clean the dirt off of my face. What you think about me is great, and I want to talk about that. I think it's helpful to have those conversations instead of me always being reactive. Reacting in whatever way that I decide that I want to react, and having that be my justification for whatever my end result is like, well, you pointed something out to me, I reacted this way. The way that you perceive me doesn't make you a bad person, and the way that I react to you perceiving me doesn't make you a bad person. Me and you are not bad people. It doesn't matter who's doing what. That's a separation to me of like who's judging who, what you think about me, how I'm responding about how you think about me. A lot of the time, if you're looking at something about me and you don't like that, that's great. I'm open to actually conversate about that. It's not about me being right or wrong. It's about you speaking your truth of perception, and it's about me speaking my truth of perception. And that's like how we grow, by conversation and communication, to understand more where somebody's coming from, or what do they mean by that, or, because we learn a lot more about that other person instead of taking it as, oh, they're seeing something about me and they're saying something. Well, I can say, well, that's you too, right? It's all of us, because we're all the same. Ain't nobody any different. We might be doing things in a different level. Maybe there's things that we're not doing anymore that we used to do that other people are doing. Like when you get older, sometimes you've learned from your younger mistakes. Well, when you get older and then you look back at some of these young kids and you see them doing some of the things that you were doing back then, you saying to a child, hey, I've been there before. I've walked in those shoes. Especially when you see somebody having like bad outcomes and you're like, wow, I know why they're having bad outcomes. I know why they're having bad experiences is because of the way that they're going about it. Right. And I know why, because I went about it that way. Doesn't mean I'm judging you. It means I'm trying to be helpful because I've actually been there. I've walked in those exact shoes. And just with a little bit of advice or insight, you can shift those things and you can have a whole nother experience. You don't have to live a life that I lived. You can have a completely different belief about it and experience something on your own. But boy, if you're walking down the path that I have and you're stumbling on all the same rocks that I have, I think it'd be very helpful for me to say, hey, I recognize myself in you at a certain point in my life when I was being like that, or when I was suffering the way that I was because I was doing that to myself. And so that's just stuff crossing my mind, and I'm going to be making more videos just speaking from my mind about things that stimulate my mind. And and spit the conversation out about it. So thanks for listening. Was going to make a 2-minute video. Turned out to be 10. I got to work on shortening it, man. Reduction. Have a great day, guys. Love you. Hope all is well. Let's be happy. Let's make the world a better place by doing what we can, all right? Thanks for being here. I mean, I really do appreciate it.